Happy December, everyone. By now, majority have their Christmas tree and decor up and are in the thick of their holiday traditions. Well, growing up, we turn on our Christmas music, and mom would prepare a smorgasbord of holiday favorite appetizers, and we just graze as we decorated the tree and the house. My parents would also host an open house for our entire church congregation. And once I owned my first home, that is the first Christmas tradition I carried on. I loved that was the open annual house. Well, I love loving on others and hearing the laughter and fellowship amongst the aroma of the freshly baked goods and hot cocoa. So I really have enjoyed this one. And then, of course, once I had kids, I think I started tradition overload. We do the nativity set and the Christmas countdown that I actually made. So each day has a Bible verse or a question we all discuss or an activity. And those activities range from playing a board game or watching a Christmas movie, as we have like 20 every year that we watch, or getting hot chocolate and driving around to see Christmas lights on houses. We also take a night to meet up with my sister and her family to go to a nice restaurant downtown. And then we see the holiday lights around the city. And since my mom's passing, my dad likes to decorate cookies with my kids. Of course, Christmas Eve, we still all gather as a whole herd and we go to one of the churches, my sister and her family, my brother and his family, my dad and me and my kids. And we do a candlelight service at one of the churches. And then we head to someone's home where we'll have a huge spread of some sorts of, favorite appetizers and desserts and the sorts, and then a family sleepover. And of course, that includes Christmas Eve pajamas, which has become a tradition for well over 4 decades. So yes, Christmas, the season of traditions. Now, I think it's fun to learn about different traditions of others as it helps us keep an open mind and kind of broaden our perspectives and also help us show respect to other cultures or family beliefs. I think getting to experience other culture celebrations or traditions could be fun too. As I was researching different cultures around the world, I came across some unusual traditions, let's call them that. The Netherlands, the Dutch children place their shoes by the fire for Sinterklaas to put gifts and treats in them in the night prior to December 25th. So their take on Santa Claus, of course. Now, just as in the United States, we joke around about giving naughty kids coal in their stocking. Naughty children in the Netherlands are given potatoes. I don't know about you, but that just makes me want to put together a Mr. Potato Head. Then in Germany, every year they hide a pickle somewhere in the Christmas tree and they give a gift to the child who finds it. Now, I do have one child of mine who loves pickles, so I think they might just like that tradition as long as they get to be the one to eat the pickle once they found it. And then in New Zealand, you won't find a traditional pine Christmas tree featured there. Instead, it is a pohutukawa tree. I hope I pronunciated that right. And it's the tree of choice in New Zealand, as it's a bright red tree and it's featured in decorations and Christmas cards and even in their Christmas songs. And then in South Africa, for those of you who like a good ham or turkey for Christmas, now, I'm still a little flustered over here from my family switching from turkey to ham this past Thanksgiving, trying to move on, but you won't find either of those, as their Christmas food is actually fried caterpillars. And they eat these fried caterpillars as they're thought to bring extra luck in the year ahead. I don't know about you, but just the thought of having to eat a caterpillar doesn't really seem to coincide with the term lucky. I don't know, go figure. Then in Finland, on Christmas morning, they eat porridge, but this one isn't for those who are allergic to nuts, because this one, whoever finds the hidden almond in the porridge wins. Now, I could go for their other tradition, though, of warming up in a sauna together, especially here in Utah. A hot tub is on my wish list. It can get cold. And last but not least is Italy. It's not December 25th that's celebrated there, but the eve of January 5th, where, according to folklore, an old woman named Belthana fills children's stockings with candy and presents. And as it is with our United States Santa, Belthana comes through the chimney. However, instead of milk and cookies, it's wine and local delicacies that are left for Belthana. Hmm. Well, why do we have all of these traditions? Well, according to Frank Sonnenberg, the author of Follow Your Conscience, Make a Difference in Your Life and in the Lives of Others, he says that traditions represent a critical piece of our culture, that they help form the structure and foundation of our families and our society. They basically remind us that we're part of a history that defines our past and shapes who we are today, as well as who we are likely to become. But according to an article in UNC Health Talk, there are actually benefits of traditions too. There's three that they point out for us. The first of all is the holiday traditions help ground us. Dr. Sheeler, a UNC health clinical psychologist, says traditions specifically bring us positive emotions associated with memories from our childhood, past times that are meaningful, or even loved ones who are no longer with us. The second benefit, they say, is performing rituals gives us a sense of purpose. According to Dr. Charguya, an associate professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the UNC School of Medicine, when we lean into things that are familiar and reliable, anxiety, worry, and stress tend to just melt away. And then the third, holiday traditions encourage connection and community. I think those who watch the Hallmark channel, especially during Christmas, would agree with this one. Now, traditions are a little like structure. Our children and us too, if we're being honest, crave structure, whether we admit it or not, as it can often provide a sense of comfort and security to us. Now, it's important to note that not everyone has some happy thoughts at Christmas, but good news is you can start anytime making new traditions with family and or with friends. But what about as seasons change? Some traditions just kind of fade, and it's okay for transitions to kind of, or traditions to kind of transition a little bit. For example, growing up, my family would always go after Thanksgiving and take a carriage ride around downtown, and then we'd eat at a nice restaurant. Well, throughout the years, the carriage rides got discontinued, and so not as many people in the whole herd wanted to go. So this tradition has become just me and my kids with my sister and her family. And we've seen the downtown lights so many times. I don't think they've really changed in 4 decades that we basically just now go for the nice dinner. And that's fine. It's a tradition that's morphed a bit. But as traditions bring a sense of unity and belonging and bonding, it's important to find what works for the season that we're in. For example, children away at college, well, have the conversation about what they'd like to keep. So include them in the decisions, as well as share with them which ones are most important to you. So your non negotiables. Are you newly married? What traditions will you keep from each of your families? And what new traditions will you start as a new family unit? When I married years ago, I knew it was important to my former husband's parents, the tradition of attending their Christmas morning open house. So I made sure every Christmas morning that we were there. By the same token, Christmas Eve candlelight service was one of the major traditions we continued with my side of the family. And a new tradition just for us was collecting an ornament to hand on our tree that represented that year we were concluding. So, what will you bring from each home and what will you start anew? As children age, what traditions will fade and how can you branch out to make new traditions? For example, we used to do breakfast with Santa when my kids were younger, and they've made it clear to me that they've outgrown that. So now we've replaced that with going to a hotel for a night stay during the month of December, whether it be just to go swimming or maybe it to be to visit local town Christmas festivities. Sometimes it's with friends, other times just us, but we've said goodbye to some traditions and embraced new. And what about our parents? Whether they pull a Christmas with the Cranks move and book a sailing to the Caribbean for the holiday getaway, leaving us wondering who's going to carry on their tradition set, or perhaps they age where they're just no longer able or around to carry on a tradition that they're known for ensuring is still done. Is that a tradition that was anchored by that certain family member going to end and memories just kept as being treasured? Or will one of the other family members pick it up in their honor? Now, it's important to note that traditions don't just have to stop at Christmas. Traditions strengthen relationships throughout the year, creating those memories and imparting the family values through such activities. Now, by doing so, you preserve your family culture and you strengthen the bond of your family, especially as the family grows. Such traditions can help connect the generations and, of course, just give everyone something to look forward to. And then, of course, there's different types of traditions. Some that have been inherited from generations, which you tend to keep to honor and remember the past, such as my decorating for Christmas with Christmas music on and food spread out on the kitchen counter in memory of my mom. Others are a part of our culture, such as fireworks on the 4th of July. Others are to make an impact by showing care to others or being involved in our community. I think our Secret Santa and Secret Cupid would apply here, where every year my kids and I choose those who need some just loving on or extra loving on with either Christmas gifts or a Valentine card with flowers and chocolates, which then we doorbell ditch to leave the goodies in order to remain anonymous. Some are religious. I guess you could say our Christmas Eve or Easter service could fit here. Others might teach a practical lesson or skill, such as when my brother's now wife started joining us for Easter, she would bring birdhouses for all of us to paint. So many practical skills beyond just painting. It was patience and sharing and not comparing and all of that fun stuff, trying to cheer each other on. And although all of these can be fun, some traditions are just for the sake of fun, like leaving a path of green footprints around the house and many other shenanigans my children wake up to on St. Patrick's Day. Now, what traditions do you have throughout the year, and why do you have those? Are there any traditions that have seen their season and are okay to fade or transition? Any new traditions that should be started? And who might you be able to invite in to enjoy these traditions? Think of those who don't have family nearby or not able to get home for the holidays. Maybe those who live alone or are single or who are housebound, the college student, the widow or the widower, the single parent. Now, I'd love to hear about one of your favorite or even craziest holiday traditions. Connect with me on Instagram at Holly Kirby or on Facebook at Holly's Highlights. And as mentioned, not everyone is close with their family or wants to get together with their family. So it is okay to make traditions with friends, with neighbors, with your church groups or other networking groups as well. Whether old or new, may we remember it's not so much the tradition itself that needs to be perfectly executed, but the time spent with those we hold dear, which matters most. As author Tanya Dalton said, traditions aren't about adding more to your busy schedule. They're about filling your time intentionally. So may the traditions we create and implement today be the memories our children and loved ones cherish in the future. Merry Christmas, my friends.